Okay. So she started bringing attention to my neck, because you can tell if you look, I have quite big build up in my neck here. Not many girls have traps like this. This is normally like what a bodybuilder would have, like, you know, when they build their trapezius muscles. Like, this is something that's just been all my life. And it's always been like hunched up tension, especially from when I was little. Every night when I'd be going to bed and I could feel spirit in my room, I would hunch up and bring the covers up to over my face, and I would just hunch up and sit really still and pretend I wasn't there so that they couldn't see me, because I didn't know who they were or what they wanted. So all my life I've had really tense, hunched up neck muscles. And over the last 7 years, they've been really causing me problems. Like, they've been so sore, and I'd get headaches once a week or once every 2 weeks, and just really bad headaches for 48 hours at a time. And I just hated it. I was just always, tossing between healing and really focusing on tending to it and going to massages and chiropractors and everything like that. And then at other times I was just fuck, I just hated it so much that I didn't even want to help it. I was kind of just resenting that part of my body for being in such tension and pain. And just out of frustration. And so she brought attention to that. And ayahuasca gives you, if you're needing it, surgery. Energetic surgery, okay? So she started bringing up my neck, and she was saying, we're gonna perform surgery on your neck. And she was saying, because this is not who you are. You have attached, because it's been such a consistent thing in your life, you've attached your identity to it. You have thought of yourself as the girl who has the sore neck and headaches all the time. And that needs to be let go of, because it's draining your energy. I was like, yeah, I know. And she was showing me energetically that she was picking up that problem, so to speak, and putting it in my face and saying to me, let it go. Acknowledge that it's not your identity and you don't need it anymore. She goes, because she says, I can do the surgery, but if you continue to have it as part of your identity, it'll only re-manifest. And I was like, okay. I fully just let it go and just thought, you know what, that isn't me. That isn't my identity, and that's not who I am. And then she brought in some team members. And they were minions. It was the weirdest thing. I heard of it before, though, from all the stories that I heard about ayahuasca and the surgeries that happen. And I kid you not, these about 6 little minions came in with their tools and things like that. And they were just looking at me like, can we come in? Can we get to work? I was like, yeah, come in. And these little minions all just surrounded my neck, and they had these little flashlights, these little torches, and they were looking into the muscle, and they were looking into the problem. They were all kind of looking at each other and going, what are we going to do here, kind of thing. And I was just laying there just kind of giggling, what is happening? And these little minions, they started working away at my shoulder, at the muscle. I can't remember exactly what they were doing, but it felt like they were prodding and kind of laser beam type feelings, they were just working away at this muscle. And then it was they were we need to call in bigger support. We need to call for backup, kind of thing. Because they were just assessing it, and it was they were we can't do this. We need a stronger team to come in. And then this new team of these, they look like islander men, like Māori men or islander men or Hawaiian men, kind of tribal looking men, really big built, strong men. They all came in. Again, about 6 of them. and they all had these big ropes, and they attached these ropes to my, it's mainly this side, they attached these ropes to this muscle in this part of my neck, and they got it all hooked up, and all these ropes are attached, and they started walking back up here, and they were holding these ropes, and then they started like just being like, go, and they would all be like heaving, like pulling these ropes and pulling all this tension out of my neck muscle. And I was just laying there like loving it. I was like, yes, pull it, take it, like just go for it kind of thing. And they were just heaving and pulling. And Mother Ayahuasca was with me, and she was saying to me, she's like, they've got a lot of hard work to do, because not only is there the build-up from your childhood when you were afraid at night, but every time that you had a sore neck or a headache and you blamed your neck and you hated the fact that it was like that, each time that you resented that problem, you added another layer to it. And so they've got a lot of work to do. I was like, okay. Like, I totally understand. And they were just pulling and pulling and pulling all this tension out. And then Mother Ayahuasca was like, okay, we need to take a rest. She said most of it has been pulled out, but there's still some work to do. And so then this eel came up. I know you guys are probably like listening to this and just being like, oh my God, what is she talking about? But I saw it visually and very clearly. This eel came up, and I don't really like the look of eels. I was like, I don't like that. But Mother Ayahuasca said, don't worry about it. She has, like referring to the eel, she's got some beautiful work to do on you. I was like, okay. And I watched this eel just like biting away at what was left in the muscle. And I was watching, like, each time she would bite into the muscle, what she would swallow would then be transmuted. Like, once it went into her, she would be, the tension would be transmuted. So I was like, oh, okay, just eat away. Just do what you need to do. So I just would watch this eel, like, eating away at the tension in my neck. And I was like, okay, this is the weirdest surgery I've ever had. minions and big... native men pulling ropes and an eel eating away at it. I was like, this is the weirdest surgery I've ever had, but potentially the most interesting, definitely the most interesting surgery I've ever had. And then she said, okay, we've done enough, and now we just need to let that rest for a minute. And then she put all these raw rose quartz crystals into my neck and into my muscles. I loved it. I was like, I could just see my neck just with all these rose quartz crystals everywhere, all just kind of like looked like they were just growing and sitting in my neck. And she said, because that part of your body really needs love. It really, really needs love because you've resented it, and it needs love. So I was like, okay. And I would just lay there, and I would visualize the rose quartz love going into the shoulder and the muscle, and I was loving it. I was like, yeah, this is really, really needed. And then she would, as I can just lay down and had a little bit of a rest, she would say to me every once in a while, she'd say, clear the energy again, that I need to do it. So I would be laying there, and I'd just start flicking like this energy, like I'd see it kind of just shedding away at the same time. And then at other points I had to kind of like grab at it and just throw it. Like she was just getting me to do a little bit of extra work. And then okay. And then she went a little bit back into clearing old fears. So I was laying there, and like, she showed me all these like scary visions, like all these kind of really scary, almost like devilish faces were coming at me, and all these like just ugly, really scary looking faces were all coming at me. And there was all these like insects and cockroaches and spiders were crawling over me, which I really have always had like a fear about. And I've always just been like, ugh. So she was kind of presenting me with all these things that I had to look at, and she was making me look at them without fear. So I would see all these faces coming forward, and I would just look them straight back in the face and just have no fear. And I was watching all these bugs crawling over me, and I like, that's not my normal thing, but in that state, she was showing me how to see it and not have any fear attached to it. So I was just watching them all crawl over me and all these faces coming forward and just feeling completely like fearless, which was really, really amazing feeling. And then she was saying, okay, now you need to purge it out of your body. You need to get it out of your cells. And I was like, okay. And I started feeling like my tummy started rumbling, and I was like, oh, I need to go to the toilet. So I went toilet and, went toilet, and it felt like, it really did feel like I was releasing energy as well. And I would just be doing like these big burps at the same time, and it was so embarrassing. Like, even though everyone else, there's like 60 other people that are throwing up and running to the toilet, and everyone else is making all these horrid sounds and everything as well. Like, I was just embarrassed. But I just had these huge burps. Like, I've never burped like that in my whole life. It was like Homer Simpson style. So I was on the toilet, I was doing these big burps, and it was like really long, and I was like, oh my god, when's this ever going to stop? Like, just these huge long burps, and I was like, this is so embarrassing, but it's like I couldn't help it, and it felt like I was just purging all this energy, and then so I'm on the toilet, I'm purging these huge burps, and then she's like, and shake your arms, and I was like, what? She's like, shake your arms. So she made me like lift my arms up above my head, and I was just shaking my arms and just shaking my arms. And I couldn't stop it. I could if I really wanted to, but it was just this impulse, and my arms were just shaking, and it was just shaking my whole body out. And it felt like it was, again, just like releasing all of this energy. So I was like, oh, well, at least like here in the toilet, no one else can see me, kind of thing. But I just, this huge purging going on, like all this energy being released, and she was showing me that it was old fear that had been stored at a cellular level that was just dead and stagnant and didn't need to be in my body anymore. So that was really hard, and I just felt so sick, but it felt really releasing at the same time. And then it got interesting as well. Went back, laid on my bed, and I was just laying there, closed my eyes again, and she came in again, and she said, I need you to surrender into my womb. And I was like, okay. And I could see this womb. It was like this womb space that I had to just surrender into. It's like, okay. And I knew, like, okay, I'm going to go through my rebirth. Like, this is part of the rebirth. And essentially a rebirth is when when a large part of your ego dies off and you get reborn in this life from soul level again, without everything that you've picked up along the way and conditionings and everything like that with your ego. So I was like, okay, like I want that. That sounds really good. And so I felt myself go into this womb, and it felt like I was just in this black velvet, almost like a sleeping bag kind of thing. Like I was just in this womb space. And then she was showing me this like black hole and she was saying, I need you to go into the black hole. And I can't tell you what you'll experience, but I do promise you that once you go in, I'll take you right out the other side. It'll be quick, kind of thing. I was like, oh, okay. And I struggled with that for a little while. I was like, okay, just surrender, just go. Like, I was just telling myself, I was like, this is going to be the best thing for you to just go. And she said it will be quick, and she'll shoot you right out the other side, and you'll be reborn, and it'll be good. But the actual going, it was like, because my ego knew it was going into its death, basically, for the most part, I just really struggled to just completely go, like, just go kind of thing. And Jerry, the guy who created Rythmia, from his visions that he had with ayahuasca, he came up and he was there and he was like, just get in the hole. Because that's what he's like. He swears and he's just really real. And he was there and he was just like, just get in the hole, just swearing. He's like, get in the fucking hole. And I was like, I'm trying. And I was trying to throw myself into this hole. I was like trying to like dive in, or like I was like, how do I get in? I was just trying to get in this hole. But she was saying, like, you're so close, but you're just not fully going, so you can't go. Like, you can try to throw yourself in, but you won't go in until you completely surrender. And I was like, oh, like, I really want to. I don't know how completely. It was just such a hard thing for us to do as humans. And so she said, okay, I'll do it a different way. And she came up as a snake. She came up over my head, opened up her mouth, and just came over my whole body, like just completely encompassed my whole body. And then I was laying there. So I was laying there inside of a snake, which was Mother Ayahuasca. And so I was like in her womb in that way kind of thing. And she was, you know how like the snake is the representative of transformation and change and shedding old layers and that whole aspect of things. I could feel that all going on energetically. I knew that she was doing it to me. And it was just a way that she could get it done that I was going to surrender into. So she did it that way. And then that kind of just eased off and just went into a different vision. And she explained to me that was essentially the rebirth, and it was a fairly easy rebirth compared to what some people experience and what I've heard stories of. But she just knew that she needed to somewhat do it in a way that I could go with. Otherwise, it would have just been too much kind of thing. So she did this whole rebirthing process. And then she said, okay, I remember at that point, once I finished with the rebirthing, she said, you're merged back with your soul, and now we're going to come in and we're going to heal your heart, because that's the, 3 parts of the intention for the journey is show me who I've become, merge me back with my soul, and heal my heart, or renew my heart, whatever you want to call it. So then she said, okay, we've merged you back with your soul, and now we're going to heal your heart. And I could feel her coming in and doing all this work on my heart. And that was for a little while, and then I started sobering up a little bit from the ayahuasca again, and that was the end of the night. So I was like, okay, just, I'll come back to that. But by the next day, by Wednesday, during the day, I was just so exhausted. I was so shattered, and just from what I processed over those 2 nights, I was just so shattered. On an emotional level, physical level, I was just tired. I was just so like crying, and everything was just so intense. And by that, like I remember I went to breakfast after sleeping in. I went to breakfast, and I was kind of just trying to like breathe and just, you know, be relaxed. And then one of my friends came up to me and he was like, "How are you feeling?" And I was like, and just started crying. Like I couldn't hold it back. I just could not hold it back. I was like, oh my God, like I just didn't realize that this was going to be so intense. And like, even though the night beforehand it was not as intense as the first night, it was just, there was a lot of work happening on all multidimensional levels. And I just got to like my kind of breaking point. I was like, this is just, there's so much going on. It's so intense. And I just wasn't feeling okay. Like I just felt like, yeah, I was at my breaking point and I couldn't help but cry. And I was talking to one of the shamans and I said to her, like, I am so exhausted. I'm so at my breaking point. I just felt completely shattered. And I said to her, like, I don't know if I can do it again tonight. Like, it just seems too much. And she said, like, you know, we always encourage everyone to do all 4 nights and to just keep going, and that it's good when you're at your breaking point because that's when you surrender the most. But she also said you can listen to yourself, and if you need a rest, then you need a rest, kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, I know I just need a rest before I go into the 4th night, which was like an all-night 12-hour ceremony. So yeah, I thought about it throughout the day, and by the time it came around to the ceremony time, I went to the ceremony, sat down on my bed, and just kind of looked around, and I just felt so just shattered, and I just said, like, nah, I need to go back to my room and just sleep tonight, and I'll come back tomorrow, and I'll do the 12-hour ceremony. So I did that, because I just really didn't have it. I just really didn't feel like it. And then on the 4th night when we did the 12-hour ceremony, I just did a little bit at a time because, yeah, I was still, like, there was just so much to integrate on all multidimensional levels. Another thing that I forgot to mention was that somewhere, I can't remember what night or where or when, at some point I remember that she was showing me like my great-grandmother, grandmother, my mum and me, and she was showing me that I was doing lineage healing. So what was in the feminine lineage of my family, the maternal lineage of my family, she was showing me, I don't know how to explain it, but she was showing me that I was healing it, and she was making me break the chain, so to speak, so that what comes through for my daughter is different. And yeah, so that was another thing that processed. And on the 4th night I went into it. I was like, okay, I'm just going to have a little bit at a time and just pace myself throughout the 12 or 14 hours. So I went into it. I had some. That night, the brew, the ayahuasca, was disgusting. It tastes so bad. Like, you just watch everyone would go up, have some, and just like, oh, gross, kind of thing. Like, it was just so bad, and you have to hold it down for at least 30 minutes so that it can really get in your system before you start purging. And on that night, I just paced myself through the night, have a little bit of time, and I had certain experiences of, sometimes I was awake and, you know, like conscious of what was happening. Sometimes I'd just go to sleep for like an hour or two, and then up again, and then sleep for an hour or two, and then up again, kind of thing. It was really nice sleeping like out, kind of in the indoor-outdoor thing, watching all the nature and all the stars and everything. And the main thing that was happening that night, on the 4th night, was DNA coding and DNA upgrading. So she came in at a certain point and she started doing all this coding in my body. She was showing me I don't know what it's called, but it's like the kind of cross-looking thing with the snake that wraps around it. I don't know does anyone know what that's called? I don't know what it's called, but it's to do with health or DNA of the body or something. She showed me that, and she was showing me that she was working on my DNA, and then she showed me my DNA, like 2-strand helix, you know, and she was showing me, and she was explaining to me that when you're born with 2 strands for your physical body, And then as a light being, you, throughout your life, as you raise your consciousness and as you enlighten, you activate up to 12 strands of DNA in your light body. And so for example, if you think of those 12 strands in the light body, and as you activate them, you reach higher and higher potentials. And she's showing how it relates directly to, say, like the 12 dimensions of our multiverse. So the more that you activate those strands of DNA, the more dimensions you access and that you connect with. And she'll show me that I had the 2 from my birth, that I had activated 5 along my journey. So I was at 7 strands out of the 12. And she came in and she's like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to activate 2 more. So you're going to get to 9 strands. So essentially like helping me access the 9th dimension, to go from accessing the 7th dimension to the 9th dimension. She went in and did that. I can't explain how she did it, but I felt it all happening in my body and all in my energy body, and she's doing all this upgrading. And then a bit more purging. Went to the bathroom, did a bit more purging. And yeah, that was the main thing. Like, she was just working on my body a lot on the 4th night. And by the morning, we were still a little bit woozy, but they wanted us to all kind of be waking up at about 6 a.m. when the sun was coming up, and they wanted to start doing rounds of shamanic healings, because all the shamans on the end of the last ceremony, they all give everyone a healing. So we would get called into the main room where we would sit in groups. And the shamans would come around and work on each of us and do these like cleansing, clearing, healing blessings on us. And it was really fun because they would have these like big, like, it was like a fan with like built out of leaves. So it was this big kind of thing that they held onto, and it had all these leaves everywhere. And they would pour this liquid. It was like from healing herbs. Like a liquid that was made from healing herbs. They'd pour it all through the leaves, and then they would just whack you with it. Like, they would just be whacking you over the face, over your shoulders, over your chest, down your arms. Like, and so you had to close your eyes because you were just getting whacked everywhere. And someone would be in your front, someone would be at the back of you, and just whacking. And it was like this shamanic cleansing and healing. Doesn't sound very pleasant, but it actually was really pleasant. It was really refreshing because it was wet, so it was really refreshing. And then they would kind of work with you. That either be having their hand on your head and doing healing, or they would like be touching your third eye. Or one lady was coming around and she'd come in and she would put her hands like up under your shirt, and she would hold on to your tummy. So she's holding on to my tummy. And kind of like around the womb space, and she would just lean in, and I don't know what she was saying, but she would be whispering this like chant into my tummy, into my womb space, and she was doing this blessing and this healing, and yeah, they just kept going round and round and round, and just doing, there's about 6 of them all just continuously going round and round and round, and coming to you and doing cleansings and blessing you with the herbal healing liquid that they'd spray on you. They would also come around, and they would take like a big sip of the healing liquid in their mouth, and then they would like just blow it and spray it all over you. It sounds weird, but in that environment, like anything goes. Like, it just seems kind of normal somehow. So they would just like spray you down with this healing herbal liquid stuff. And again, it felt really refreshing. And it just felt like this really fun healing blessing experience. Like, it was just really cool. And then 2 of the shamans that were there, they actually decided that they wanted to be married by the main shaman who was running the whole event that night, because he is a person who does shamanic weddings or marriages. So they kind of just spontaneously said, like, we're gonna get married. And all of us that were there, we were just like, oh, this is so cool. So we watched this shamanic wedding, and he like had them put their arms together, and he would tie this special material thing and wrap their arms together, and then there was this like shamanic like coat kind of like wrap thing that is made like to go around two people to bring you together as one. So they had their arms wrapped together, and this coat was going around them to bring them together, and then you do this blessings on them and everything, and then he kind of like pronounced them, and they said some things to each other in front of us all, and yeah, it was really interesting. It was like this really cool shamanic wedding that happened, and then people were all like sharing their experiences and all having a bit of a talk. And there was this one guy in our group. He was incredible. Like, he just has this natural talent for rapping. Like, he would just start from the ayahuasca. He would just start channeling these like raps, like a song, like a rap. And so at certain points, it happened about 3 times over the week. He would say like, "Hey, like I want to rap." But it'll be like, "Yeah, okay." And he would get up and he would just do these amazing raps, and you could just watch him just channeling with his eyes closed the whole time. And it was all these raps about like consciousness and being out of the matrix, and like being conscious of the new world that we're creating, and like it was just incredible. And it was all rhyming, and like people were all just sitting around like because it was just completely in the moment. Like he hadn't written it down, he hadn't planned it, he would just channel these raps from the ayahuasca. He was incredible. So that was really cool. And by that time I was like, thank fuck, like I've done the ceremonies, like, because they were just so intense, and I was just like, okay, like I've done it, I'm really proud of myself, you know, like kind of thing, like it's complete type of thing. Even though I know I'm going to be journeying with ayahuasca again at some point, I just knew that like, okay, I've done what I need to do this time, and it was really, really good feeling. And then for the last couple of nights, we did breathwork sessions, and yeah, just some more workshops to talk about our experiences and just prepare for the fact that you integrate for like another 6 or 9 months after the week at Rythmia, that you won't get it all straight afterwards. And that's why I said like today I'm only showing what I can remember and what I can interpret or comprehend, but I'll do another video in 6 months or so to actually really observe what I've fully integrated. But yeah, I'm already feeling like so good. And what I also noticed was that like before I went to Rythmia, I was like getting a little bit conscious of like holding a little bit of extra like belly weight around my belly, around my hips. And I know it's not anything, because I'm, you know, even with that little bit of extra weight, I'm still very petite. But it just felt like I was holding extra weight than I was used to, or it just felt like extra. It didn't feel like I needed that little bit of extra weight. And I did notice that after the week at Rythmia, it had gone. And I know that that's due to like the emotional purging and letting go of what I was holding on to. So that was really interesting as well. One other thing I forgot to mention was that on the last day, I woke up in the morning, and one of the ladies that I had become friends with, she came to me and she's like, look, I'd really like a reading because she lost her son last year, and she just was at the point where she just really needed, she hadn't had a reading from him like she hadn't had a reading or heard from him kind of thing, and she just really wanted to, because I think she was hoping to connect with him through the ayahuasca, but she had a lot to work through on herself, and so she didn't connect with him in the ayahuasca. So I think she kind of came out of the week and thought, like, okay, I actually really need a reading. And I was like, okay, like, I just understood where she was at and just thought, okay, I'll do a bit of a reading for you with your son. And we did that, and that was really good. And even though I was so exhausted, like, I just kind of did it. And then what happened was there was this, that's over there. There was these tincture sprays that they had shown us that they were selling in the shop at Rythmia. There's these tincture sprays of like really low, mild doses of ayahuasca that you can take home with you, and you kind of just spray it under your tongue each night to enhance your dream state and to just kind of mildly keep journeying with ayahuasca, and to kind of reactivate what's in your system, because it stays in your system for like 21 days, but the tincture just helps to reactivate it and help you continue journeying. And the bottles were like $300. So I was thinking, like, oh yeah, I'll go, I think it's worth it, I'll go buy one. But I went to breakfast first, and then the lady who I did the reading for, she saw me at breakfast and she came over and she gave me the bottle of the tincture, and she's like, this is my gift to you. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, it's too much, like, it's too much, like, you don't need to do that kind of thing. She was like, no, you need to learn how to just receive and just accept gifts. And I was like, yeah, but I just feel like it's, it's too much kind of thing. She's like, you deserve much. You deserve too much. You deserve a good, valuable gift. And I was like, okay. So she made me like accept it and be happy with it, and just be in that state of receptivity. And that was really nice. And then later that day I did an interview with one of the shamans, and she interviewed me and I interviewed her, and it's going to be on the podcast. And she also had this other, she knew that I'd been already given a bottle of this ayahuasca spray. And then she said, oh, babe, I've got a bottle here that we couldn't sell because the cap, the spray thing was broken, so you can have it. I was like, really? Like, oh my god. So I got given 2 of these bottles, gifted them, which, I was just like so happy with. And then when I came here, this is in Tamarindo in Costa Rica, just to a hotel, I've just been spraying it under my tongue before bed, and I've been having really intense dreams. And when I do my meditations in the morning, they're just like such high frequency. They're like so high vibe. Like, I've never experienced such a high frequency and such a high vibe from meditation before. Like, they're just like, I really, really, really like feel like, whoa. Like, they just take me into such a high vibe. And just over the last few days, like, I've just been noticing certain things about myself that just things are just different. Like, I really feel like it's changed my life in a way where nothing was necessarily like really out of alignment or really bad that I really needed to change. Like, a lot of people go to Rythmia because they have drug addictions or cancers or, things that are really like big issues in their life. So there's nothing like on that kind of level of life-changing for me, but it's still life-changing in the way that I just feel like I've had just such a huge cleansing of my smaller self, let go of so much, and just renewed, updated, upgraded my channel, and just gotten so much even clearer on who I am, who I came here to be, my purpose, how I feel, just everything. And there's just these like ways of which I've just been observing myself that I just feel so much more loving, so much more just completely just like happy in myself, just like self-loving, and really watching and observing, like when I'm eating, like what feels high vibe to me and what doesn't feel high vibe to me, and what I do want to continue eating, what I don't want in my diet anymore, and like just things just feel very, very clear. And I feel like over the last couple of days I just keep getting all these really strong visions of what I'm next to create, both within my purpose and within my personal life. Things just seem really clear, and I'm just so glad that I didn't quit after the first night, because I promised myself, I was like, I'm getting out of here tomorrow, this is just not what I signed up for, it's way too intense. I thought I was just going off to have like a blissful, easy week of just seeing visions and clearing my channel, but it was really intense. So yeah, I think that's everything I should share for now, because that's everything I can remember. I know there's so much more, but it's just not all fully integrated yet, and I need to take time to integrate it before I can share the full experience. I just want to look at your comments just quickly. And some of you are saying like you really feel called towards it, you really want to do it, and yeah, definitely it's one of those things where you get called. Don't go like, I just would encourage people to be like, oh, you should go do ayahuasca, and then someone doing it just because someone said they should, kind of thing. Like it's really something that is a personal relationship between you and ayahuasca, and she will call you, and she will be very clear and very intentional when it is time, and when you feel that sense of calling and you feel ready, even though your ego might be fighting it, if you feel your soul going toward it, then go. But yeah, I really know that like if I went any earlier than I was ready, like if I went a year ago or a couple of years ago, it would have been too much. Like I would have quit after the first day. But yeah, it was because I was ready enough to do what work I did do this time around. It was incredible, completely incredible. So yeah, and I know that like it again, even though it is very life changing just in that week, I know also that a journey with ayahuasca is something that continues. Like you get miracles and you get life-changing experiences, but there's always like more of evolving to do, and when you get ready for new levels of evolving, there's new work to be done with her. So I know that like I'll keep taking the tincture and spraying it and before bed, and I know that I'll continue journeying with her as the spirit. I know that I'll go back to Rythmia at some point. Right now I feel like I couldn't go back today. I feel like I need a fair bit of time to integrate, but I know that I will be going back there another time when I feel like I'm ready and I need to go upgrade further. So yeah, I love seeing that you girls, lady girls, are feeling drawn to it as well. And I would just really advise, if you are feeling drawn to it, really look into where you're going and who is journeying you, like who's holding the space, who's working with the ayahuasca, who is guiding you, everything like that, because it is 10 times more intense than I ever imagined it would be. And I don't think I could have gotten through it if I didn't go to Rythmia, because Rythmia was the place that was set up to be the best space in the world and the safest space in the world to journey with ayahuasca. And I'm so grateful that they did create that space and that I chose that space, even though it was a lot more like expensive than other places. But it definitely was the best place, because if I went, just for me personally, if I went just out into the jungle with like if I just went out into the jungle with someone and I didn't really get to know them and their intention and why they were holding the space, like if we just went out and just took the ayahuasca and just did one, I really don't feel like I would have gotten anywhere near as much of a benefit as I did with going to Rythmia. So definitely find that it's worth the while to make sure that you're choosing the right space, because you need to know that it's all in like high integrity. And Rythmia is the only place in the world that's medically licensed for ayahuasca. So that to me was just really knowing that it's of a very high integrity in terms of knowing that it's all very like I just knew going there that I would know that I was going to be working purely with ayahuasca, because there's so many horror stories about people going and doing like shamanic ayahuasca journeys, but really it's just EDMA, like other mixes of drugs and things like that, like psychedelics and stuff. It's just, I just really wanted to make sure it was purely ayahuasca that I was going to go and journey with, so that's why I chose Rythmia as well. But yeah, that's everything I have to share today. That's so true, Kara. Kim. Alright, I'm going to finish there. I feel like I've been on here for hours. I love you girls so much. Thank you so much for being with me so I could share and commenting, and yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for everyone who's watching the replay or watching the recording. If you have questions, you can feel free to let me know. Yeah, I'm going to maybe go catch a taxi down to the beach. Maybe go have some dinner down by the beach and watch the sunset, something like that. There's probably a thunderstorm coming soon, so I better go quick. Alright, I love you girls. Bye.